So when speaking about gun control, I know that many people support that because they want to make the United States safe as a whole. Research has shown that actually gun control itself has been formulated long before the actual Second Amendment actually was established. So going back to the colonial times, the United States had gun control with making sure that, for example, men of the house, they would have guns to control or make sure that their family is safe. Slaves or Native Americans, they weren't able to have guns, things like that. So when it comes to gun control, there has been laws or laws established prior to the Second Amendment. Guns were not permitted in schools, they weren't permitted in government areas, anything like that. So December 15th, 1791, the Second Amendment was established, which the amendment itself specifically actually specified that it was for people, those of militia. But historians actually debunked that and stated that, even though it's militia based in the actual amendment, back then they didn't differentiate whether it's individuals or militia. So that's just something to know. Some of the gun controls also that we have now was based off of ensuring that we checked, back then, was that we checked the guns to make sure that they were workable and that they were registered and things of that nature. Now, February 14th, 1929, there was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, which that particular massacre alone was the one that pretty much started the uproar of the actual gun controls itself as well. So the National Firearm Act group, or the NFA, then decided to start taxing those who were utilizing guns or had firearms, about $200 for being able to have that, in addition to also having to register their guns as well. The reason why they're doing that, of course, was to reduce the amount of violence that was being done within the United States alone, especially like violence of like the massacre or assassinations of President Kennedy and Martin Luther King. So with that, going forward, like for example, Bill Clinton, he also made it mandatory to where if you were to have a gun, you would have to have a license to have one. And then if you want to sell, you would have to have a license to sell as well. And then basically he was just ensuring that the guns were not easily accessible. So another group that was established, by the way, I'm giving you a little bit of history, by the way, so another group that was established was the National Center of Control Handguns, or the NCCH, which was established by a man by the name of Dr. Mark Borinsky. The reason why he established that particular group was because of his own personal experience of robbery, and he felt like what he went through, he didn't want anyone else to go through. So from there, he created that, and that's kind of how the group of people who felt as though gun control was required or needed started to set up and be established. Recently, I would say President Obama also is in act of changing the way that people are able to access guns. So he's looking to do more background checks and all that to ensure that the people who do have guns or looking to buy guns are like clear background wise. So ultimately, the goal for reducing, or the goal for having gun control is to reduce the amount of deaths. So as Stephanie has actually mentioned, for the time frame to about 1999 to 2013, the usage of firearm was the 12th most common reasoning for death, which from procon.org, I got that from there, proconguns.org, yes. And number specifically, about 174,773 deaths or homicides were utilized with guns. 9,983 were unintentional deaths with guns. And suicide was about 52.2% were done by guns. So looking at this number as well, between the time frames of 1999 and 2013, another study was also done to really see what difference would it make between those time frames with the different restrictions that were being added. So between 1980 to 2009, according to the National Rifle Association, the utilization of guns for self-defense was about 2.5% million within the year. It's fine, that's right. Oh, I wasn't even happy.
You can work some of it into your rebuttal.
Okay.
That was my game plan too.